Sixth Doctor was confrontational, ruthless, and aggressive. My personal favorite. He deserved a warrior's death, but his delicate Gallifreyan cranium could not withstand a bump against his own ship's console.
Okay.
Welcome, train spotters, werepeople, and Darth Vader, to the 136th episode of an Unearthly podcast. Streaming live on the 16th of December, 2015, and my final day of finals. And featuring the Sixth Doctor, The Last Adventure, by the team at Big Finish Productions. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
Platu Barata Nicto.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Gonna kill you, Bill.
and Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
Reading Star Wars spoilers.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Santa Claus is a Jedi.
Yes, and I'm out to kill Bill at the moment because he has sent us to review 4 one-hour episodes over the course of a single episode. So,
That could have been.
we're gonna have to work twice as hard today. Plus, Bill has to leave right after the podcast to go wait in front of his theater for the upcoming Star Wars release.
Fun times.
Okay, so let's get this party started. Let's move on to the news. We don't have a lot of news, but it's rather long-winded news. So let's get it over with. First of all, we have a couple of birthdays, as we normally do. Only two this particular week, though there were a bunch more. But in particular, we wanted to wish a happy birthday to Sarah Sutton, who played Nyssa during the 4th and 5th Doctor eras. She turned 54 on December 12th.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I don't know if Sarah Sutton's been up to anything in particular recently.
I know she's been to cons. She's been
Well,
showing up at cons.
Any alumni of Doctor Who,
Yeah.
like any Star Trek alumni, will do cons.
We can pretty much assume that any Doctor Who alumni that's still alive are doing cons and are doing Big Finish.
Even Christopher Eccleston?
Well, he did.
He's not alive, I guess.
He's alive. He just tries to stay uninvolved. No, I haven't. She's not doing anything in particular that I see at the moment. Still, happy birthday, Sarah Sutton. And we have one posthumous birthday to Nicholas Courtney, who played the Brigadier through the 2nd, 3rd Doctor, and returning through various things up until the point of his death in 2011. He would have been 86 on December 16.
The Doctor Who Hub was posting some images of him that inspired me to go back and watch the 5 Doctors while I was studying. So shortly before the podcast, I managed to see him deck the Master.
Always fun.
Yep.
We have no lost stories this week, so
Thankfully.
that's good.
Thankfully. Yeah.
So that moves us to the news. As always, most of our news comes from DoctorWhoNews.net. In this case, all of it except for our Big Finish news.
Sweet. All right. The official rating for Series 9 finale, Hellbent, is in. According to the Broadcasters Audience Research Board, Hellbent had an official consolidated rating of 6.17 million viewers. This includes all those who watched the program within 1 week of transmission, but does not include iPlayer, iPlayer. Doctor Who was the 10th most watched program on BBC television and 4th overall on Saturday, beating out Pointless Celebrities for the 2nd week in a row. On the weekly charts, the episode finished at number 29, which as usual, was topped by Strictly Come Dancing at number 1 with 11.93 million. And dominated by the latest series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which took 7 of the top 10 places.
That's not too unusual, I guess. 6.17 is actually down a couple of notches from the previous week. And there's also no word yet on who won the contest that DoctorWhoNews.net was doing for Guess the Rating.
Okay.
Perhaps
All
we'll
right.
find
The
out.
BBC. Oh, sorry. The BBC has put the scripts for Heaven Sent and Hellbent online, as well as some storyboards from Hellbent, which show the production staff's thought process as converting the script to screen format. These join Face the Raven, The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, and scripts from Series 3 on the BBC website.
Yeah, they put out like about half of them now.
Yeah. They put a good chunk of Moffats this year, plus Gaddis. So.
I'd be able to see
Or no,
how
that,
much
no,
the
actually,
others had to edit his
it's
work.
Moffat. I'm pretty sure. Except Face the Raven, I'm not sure was his.
Yeah.
Face the Raven was not his.
Yeah.
And didn't you guys say that these scripts were actually kind of interesting because they contain stuff that never really made it into the episodes?
Yeah, they're earlier
Quite
versions
possibly.
of the scripts. There's stuff.
Are they early versions, or is it just things that were changed during filming that were never written down?
I'm not sure. Either way, it's considered an earlier version. So.
Are we planning on discussing the appreciation index later on when we do the whole season? Is that why that's not? Or did we want to talk about that now?
What do you mean?
This normally it's a separate article. This week it was included as an image on another article. I noted, so we didn't have a link for
there
it.
was no AI for this week, Bill. There was no new episode this week.
Hellbent.
Hellbent we did last week.
Last?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. We already
God
had
damn
the
it,
AI.
Bill.
Okay. Then why are they giving us Hellbent ratings? Oh, that's the weekly ratings.
We had the overnight ratings last week. The official ratings are out this week. You're getting confused because Aaron this would usually be Tim's article, but because Aaron didn't have any, it got moved up to hers.
Woohoo!
That might be it. Yeah.
Yeah. You did it well, Aaron.
Thank you.
You made me proud.
Yay. Moving up in the world.
Yep.
It doesn't help that my brain has been focused on finals and not on Doctor Who this week. Still settling into normal.
All right, Tim, go ahead.
Right. The BBC has released the live +7 figures for the first half of Series 9. Unlike the Barb's official figures, the BBC's live +7 include all broadcast repeats and iPlayer viewings for 7 days following transmission. The BBC now figures on average 60% of Doctor Who viewers in the UK watch the first original broadcast or DVR it. 26.8% watch via recording, and 11.9% watch via iPlayer. This is an increase in iPlayer usage from last year by almost 2%. Finally, only 1.3% watch rebroadcasts, a drop of 3.5% from last year, a sign that most people are taking advantage of DVRs and iPlayer rather than waiting for the repeat. This has caused BBC 3 to stop showing repeats after episode 3, and the only time it is repeated on BBC Now is the late-night 2 a.m. rebroadcast for the hard of hearing. Also of note is the fact that the viewing figures for Series 9 is down from Series 8 by about 1.5 million, averaging 6.8 million viewers. Also released are enhanced infographics for the Audience Appreciation Index numbers we have been reporting on all week.
That should be all series. My bad. Sorry.
All series. 2 graphs break them down by age and by how they see the series. Of interest is the series is rated highest by children and young adults, 16 to 34, then by the middle-aged, 35 to 54, and then lowest by the elderly, 55 and over. The series
the people that grew up on Classic Who, or at least early Classic Who, essentially.
Yeah. The series also rates higher with women than men, even though the audience at this point is 52% male, up from 50-50. 59% think the show is high quality, with 50% thinking it is fresh and new. 23% think it is thought-provoking, a number that started at 20% and increased to over 30% by the series end. and about 10% felt it encouraged them to do something new. Around 1% thought the series was offensive, most likely the spiritual successors to Mary Whitehouse.
She was the one that way back in the 70s would always say that Doctor Who was, like the worst, most violent, nasty show on television.
The only episode that 0% thought was offensive was The Girl Who Died.
Yep.
That's an interesting choice, considering that's the one that features actual gods and their lack of showing up.
You would think that'd be the most offensive, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it got
and
it got
Sleep No
under
More.
1%. Yeah.
So what this is saying is that fewer women are watching, but they think more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would like to note, Series 9 Appreciation Index. Holy cow, that dip in Sleep No More.
Sleep, and that's across the board. It doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are. That episode just
Tanked so hard. Never do this again, Moffat. Never.
Although apparently it looks like the elderly really did not like the one-hander either.
Huh?
The one. Oh, the
Heaven Sent. That one rated actually below Sleep No More in that demographic
but
only.
only that demographic.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they just couldn't follow it or what. Either that or it was just too much mortality for them.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might be a little bit too bleak for them, maybe. Bleaker than they're used to.
Yeah, it's but interesting that there was only twice in the run that men and women both ranked the same for appreciation index. And every other time women was at least half a point or at least 1 point higher than men.
Before the flood and the Zygon invasion.
Yeah. It's just interesting little numbers. I didn't actually know that they broke them down this way. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's nice to see the after effect of them actually paying attention to all the little things.
Yep. All right, let's move on. We got a lot to cover tonight.
Boop.
And that brings us on to more news about the Husbands of River Song. With 9 days left before Christmas, most of the BBC affiliates and licensed networks across the world have finally given their air dates for the Husbands of River Song. We mentioned some of these before, but here they are. Here are them, all of them in completion in broadcast time order. The first ones, of course, being on the 25th of December, are the UK, US, and Canada, which are 5:15 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time in the UK and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the USA and Canada. Moving on to the 26th of December, Asia has... really don't need to mention the channels, do I?
I put
they
them
all
in
know
there.
what time. Yeah.
Well, it's still good to say. Asia has BBC
Okay.
Entertainment.
Yeah, Asia has BBC Entertainment at 10 a.m. On the 26th. New Zealand has Prime on 7:35 p.m. on the 26th.
Technically, I should point out that Asia's BBC Entertainment, US, and Canada are all technically airing simultaneously. They're all airing at 2 a.m. the 26th Greenwich Meridian Time.
Okay.
But it's just because of time zone differences and Asia's across the international date line that it comes out as being the next day. So then, yeah.
Is New Zealand actually to the east of Australia?
Yes.
I did
You
not
didn't
know
know
that.
that?
Yes.
Ah, I thought it was direct north.
Nope.
No,
Nope. Direct north of Australia is Malaysia.
So I think I just said this, but I'll repeat it just in case I didn't. New Zealand has on Prime 7:35 p.m. on the 26th. Australia follows at 7:30 p.m. on their own time on the ABC. South Africa, I believe, is
Yes.
that one on BBC Prime has 6 p.m. that evening. Holland on BBC First is 8:05. But I'm still on the 26th, by the way. 8:05 p.m.
Holland refers to Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Benelux, I believe it's referred to, but it's essentially it's what old Holland used to be.
The UK hearing impaired version which I'm not sure why they don't just use closed captions in general, but is on 2:50 a.m. on the 29th of December.
They must have some people that prefer sign language. I don't know.
Yeah. Then we cut to the 3rd of January is when Finland on YLE2, I'm not sure what that stands for. I guess we'll watch it at 7:10 p.m. in their own time. And then Germany, this would be, I'm assuming, the dubbed version, get it on the 28th of January at 9 p.m. on Fox. As of this time, there are still quite a few networks yet to report dates, such as FX India, which will broadcast Hellbent on the 20th, but has not yet given out their following week's schedule. Likewise, Denmark's DR3 in January will finish Series 9 in early to mid-January.
Sorry, got repetitive
either.
there. Yep.
Although I do believe Denmark is one of the countries that is airing the Christmas special in movie theaters, so I would assume that they're going to be fairly rapid.
I thought, yeah, that was Denmark. Yeah, okay.
As we mentioned last week, France 4 in France will start airing dubbed Series 9 on the 26th, and Italy's RAI 4 will also start the Italian version soon. Both will probably show husbands right after the series is done.
Sorry about the repetitive January in there. I was writing these rather rapidly.
Yeah. Moving on to interviews here, Peter Capaldi, Alex Kingston, and Stephen Moffat have all given the BBC interviews regarding Husbands of River Song. Peter Capaldi had the following to say, that we will warn that there are some fairly minor spoilers to follow. When asked, what can you tell us about the Doctor Who Christmas special this year? Capaldi said, well, the Christmas special is very Christmassy, which I'm sure everyone will be relieved to hear. It finds the Doctor in a Dickensian kind of world, in a Christmas card sort of world, which he's been brought to in order to do a favor for a king. So there's quite a festive spirit to the episode. But the favor is more complex and isn't exclusively for the benefit of the king, but more for the benefit of the king's consort. I think those of us who've seen the trailer know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite scene from this episode? He says he has lots of favorite scenes from the Christmas episode, but he thinks being met by Matt Lucas on a wonderful wintry Dickensian street with the TARDIS covered in snow was delightful, because it was like a Doctor Who Christmas card. Matt is such a fabulously funny person to have around, so he loved that. When asked if he liked filming Christmas episodes, Capaldi said, yes, I do like them. Last year's was a bit scarier than this one. This is more openly festive. I like the idea of ghost stories at Christmas, and frightening things seem to work rather well in the festive environment. When asked if he would like to see River Song return, he said yes, of course, because Alex is fabulous and it's always lovely to work with her. And into the spoilers, and when he was asked who is Nardole, he said the character of Nardole is played by Matt Lucas, so you can expect a lot of laughs and pathos. He is, as ever, a hugely lovable personality, a little naive, a little out of his depth, and quite cosmic. Right. Next is some questions asked of Alex Kingston, who plays River Song. When asked what was it like to come back, she says, I was quite surprised when I was asked to come back, but I was happy too because I just thought it would be great fun. It's such a great character. She's become so beloved by lots of fans, and I've had them saying it would be so great for her to come back and to see her interacting with Peter Capaldi's Doctor.
Yeah,
I was actually thrilled when Stephen decided he wanted to explore that too. When asked what did she think of the script, she said it's a wonderful slapstick caper. There's a lot of great laughs, and there's a lot of fabulous River one-liners. The fans are going to love the things she says, and there's a lot of play. They're also fighting a very interesting alien played by Greg Davies. It's a really great episode, and Stephen has done my character proud. When asked, has the episode been challenging, she says she's been really lucky in this episode, as River gets to do an awful lot. She gets to run around in snow, she's been flying, and has done harness work against the green screen. She's got quite a few husbands in this episode, and there's a lot of fabulous quick-fire dialogue between her and the Doctor. She gets to snog the most handsome man in the work. His character name is Ramon. It's all going on.
Okay.
And when asked what were her favorite moments during filming, she says the favorite moment so far for her is stepping back onto the TARDIS, because the interior of it has changed yet again. She's been on 2 different TARDIS incarnations, and to walk into this one and know it's a familiar space, but at the same time is different, was great. She said she loves this one. Everything works, which is really fun. She stands there pressing all the buttons. It's great. And of course, some questions were asked of Stephen Moffat. They asked, can you give us an introduction to the episode you've written this year? He says the Doctor is an all-new man and has been for a while. It may have slipped his mind that out there in a very tangled and complicated way is his wife that has never seen this face before and doesn't even know about this incarnation. We're about to stand with the Doctor and see what River is like when she doesn't know he's looking. We're about to see what River thinks of Matt Smith turning into Peter Capaldi. When asked what made him want to write this episode, he says River's song meets the Capaldi Doctor. That's got to be fun. He'd like to write that. That's what makes me want to write. I knew it had to be a big romp for Christmas Day, and there's nothing like River's song to make that evident. River brings a whole storm of camp glamour to it. When asked, is it any different writing a Christmas episode of Doctor Who? He says, yes, you need to have a bit of Christmas in it. Really.
How insightful.
Yes,
That's
you have
never
to have
felt to
a
me like a
Christmas
tremendous
dinner.
impediment. It's a hook to hang it on. Sometimes we go very Christmassy. A Christmas Carol was incredibly Christmassy, and it was also terribly written. So was The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Which was mediocre.
And The Snowmen had the appearance of Christmas without being very Christmassy. Last Christmas is also the least Christmassy episode we've ever done, except for the fact that it actually had the fact it actually had Santa Claus in it. He rather loved Last Christmas. This year's episode starts Christmassy and has a comedy romp.
Last Christmas is arguably the best Christmas special he's done.
Arguably.
When asked if he enjoyed writing a Christmas episode, he says, I like Christmas specials. I know some people don't. Some friends of mine don't like Christmas specials very much, and they're always complaining about all the tinsel, the goodwill, and the twinkly stars, and the lovely snow on the rooftops. I love all that. I love Christmas as a day and as a festival. I love that it's dark, twinkly, and rich red. All those things I adore, so it's no hardship for me at all. Which kind of actually makes me wonder if Doctor Who will ever do a Hanukkah special, but probably not.
I don't know. I'm trying to imagine the Doctor singing the dreidel song. I'm not really seeing it too well.
I've seen
Well,
Arnold
the
Schwarzenegger
Rugrats
do
did
it,
both
though.
Christmas and Hanukkah
Dreidel,
specials.
dreidel.
As long as
Dreidel,
Adam
dreidel,
Sandler is not the guest star, I think we'll be okay. And finally, Moffat was asked, who is King Hydroflax? He says, King Hydroflax is a very bad king, who, as it turns out, is mostly cyborg. In fact, only his head has remained. He's a vicious, terrible, and deeply stupid man and a dreadful tyrant.
So there's your spoilers for you.
And Rand's cursor almost sabotaged me reading that.
Sorry.
The word, your name just popped up in the middle of the sentence as I was reading it.
Sorry, I was in the process of clicking and scrolling down to get to my own article.
So I guess that explains why he's a random head on the table.
Mm-hmm. So it's not part of the headless monks or anything. He's a cyborg that's just a head left. He thought he'd get ahead in the world.
Yeah.
Christmas specials seem to have quite a bit to do with cyborgs in Doctor Who. There was Voyage of the Damned, had that whole cyborg subplot.
Capalata.
You mean not the Capalata, the remember the head of Voyage of the Damned was the guy Max.
And the
Yeah.
Max, yeah.
Which, to be honest, Voyage of the Damned could have been a lot better without Max, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just made it cliche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turned what was going on into the whole insurance fraud plot. I really would have liked it if they had made it actually incompetence on the part of the captain or somebody. You know, an actual parallel to what actually happened on the Titanic.
Right.
That actually would have been more interesting. Also involved less stupid angels.
It would have made I think it would have made the first actual Doctor Who disaster flick.
Or if they had crashed into a comet or something, since that's the equivalent of a space iceberg.
Mm-hmm. Or skimmed the moon or something. Just piloted slightly too close and got damage from, atmosphere friction. Yes, the moon does have atmosphere.
Or
Something like that. It would have made it more interesting. but instead we get the old insurance fraud plot. I mean, seriously, it's evil corporate scheme number 4. All right. But still, I'm kind of hoping this will go better. It's, aimed to be a lighter episode. So it really just matters on how Steven has River open her mouth that's going to annoy me or not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Some of their answers made me groan quite a bit.
Either way, it doesn't seem like it can be as bad as Christmas Carol, just from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, Christmas Carol is still the bottom of the.
Although then again, as we've learned in Doctor Who, never say never.
Although
Moffat.
I do miss most Christmas specials actually being relevant. Last Christmas was, but Christmas Carol, Doctor Witch in the Wardrobe, were not in any way relevant.
Time in the Doctor was pretty.
Well, it was very
heavily
relevant because it was
yeah.
also it's like End of Time. It's a regeneration holiday
Right.
special. So
And the Snowman was, of course, in the middle of a season, so it kind of had to be.
yeah, that one wasn't handled well though. I mean, it was okay. There were parts of it that were excellent, but the snowman CGI itself were just terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was something that had me worried about Krampus was, oh god, are those CG snowmen? No, thank you.
Okay, so let's move on here. Over the last series or two, we've had some pretty harsh things to say about reality TV, and in particular, Strictly Come Dancing, which regularly causes broadcast delays for Doctor Who and regularly, and almost always, trounces it in the ratings. Well, this week, dancing contestant and semifinalist Jay McGinnis wanted us all to know he's a fan too, and showed us with his semifinal entry. Stepping out of a sequin-studded TARDIS, portraying initially the 4th Doctor and then the 11th Doctor, Jay and his partner Eliona danced the Charleston to Dr. Jazz, a song from the musical Jelly's Last Jam. The 2-minute number racked up 37 points from the judges, the 3rd highest that evening, and did advance them to the finals. Good for you letting your fan flag fly, Jay.
Yeah, actually, thanks for change.
Yeah. I actually sat down and watched this bit. It wasn't bad. I mean, I think the sequin TARDIS was a bit much, but
Sequin TARDIS sounds like something John Pertwee should have had.
it looked like the TARDIS, except there were all these little spangly, shiny bits on it. And he came out, basically came out in, the hat, the scarf, the coat, held a hand out to his dancing partner. They went to the TARDIS, the scene changed. They actually did the fade out special effect and everything. And when it faded in and he stepped out, he was in the 11th Doctor outfit, and they proceeded to dance the Charleston to Dr. Jazz, which actually has some very appropriate lyrics.
Cool.
Might have to watch that later.
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay. So on to our video news. Hashtag Doctor Who Daniel.
Oh,
Huh?
I saw this. I watched the video.
A wild 9th Doctor has been spotted a few times lately. Several sites, including badwilf.com or badwilf.com, have been following the tale of 14-year-old Doctor Who fan named Daniel Norton, who was forced to spend Doctor Who festival weekend in a hospital bed hooked up to an IV thanks to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and postural tachycardia syndrome. He has received visits from such individuals as Peter Capaldi. I've seen this one too, and the Real SFX team, and videos wishing him well from Ingrid Oliver, Stephen Moffat, and Sylvester McCoy. What caught our attention, though, is that the ever-mysterious Christopher Eccleston joined in, improvising a nonsense scene as the 9th Doctor wishing Daniel well.
He kind of phoned it in, though. He really did not know what he was going to say, and he kind of hemmed and hawed and ummed through it a lot.
Yeah.
And he admitted that he didn't have any writers for this.
Yeah, well, if he's not really an ad lib type of actor, or he's not really comfortable doing that stuff, but maybe he just did it anyway to help
Yeah,
someone.
he said at the end the reason shows like Doctor Who have writers is so that actors like him can't get away with nonsense like that.
Yeah.
So he
at
admits
least
he's
he
not an
showed
ad
up.
lib doctor.
Yeah, at least he showed up and did something,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Christopher Eccleston sings as the Doctor. Another off-the-books appearance as the Ninth Doctor was reported by the Radio Times. The video proof of this one no longer exists, but apparently he stopped by to wish a newlywed couple well and to sing for them. Why are we talking about this? Well, while these might simply be charitable acts from a man who can easily make other people happy, this might also be taken as a softening of his stance toward returning to the role as the Doctor. This is by no means a confirmation of anything of substance, but if he's willing to step into the role for free, even for a few moments, that might just mean that the right creative team has a shot at paying him to do the same thing.
He's actually said that repeatedly, though, that if the right script came along with the right people involved, he'd do it.
Oh, that reminds me, actually. Did you ever see the article about him talking about doing the 50th anniversary and why he didn't show up?
I forget if I've watched that or not. I remember seeing some bits on it, but I can't remember. He talked about it. Moffat talked about it.
Yeah.
Essentially, from what I understand, he was very friendly with Moffat. He was very sincere about wanting to do it. It's just, however, a couple of other things cropped up, and he also felt, both he and Moffat felt that there wasn't enough for him to do. So Moffat was already pre-planning in case he decided that there's not enough here to work with.
Yeah, I seem to recall Moffat had said something to the effect of, "I wrote it. I wrote it assuming that Chris would decline, but he could have the role if he wanted."
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the same with Paul McGann, that he wrote it assuming that it wasn't the right role for him, but that he could have it if he wanted. If I remember right, anyway.
But yeah, essentially there was apparently at least an early script with Eccleston in mind, and Eccleston was willing to do it, but other things happened apparently.
I remember that one thing that they figured it was not that. Oh, that's right. I remember the regeneration specifically, when that was going to be the only scene. He turned that down because there was no point showing up or he didn't want to just show up for the regeneration scene.
And
if I understood that right,
that's absolutely insane by him, because here's the Sixth Doctor lamenting he never got his proper regeneration scene for years, and same with Paul McGann, and they managed to fix that one that same year.
He had his chance.
I'm wondering if part of what cropped up into Christopher Eccleston's way was finishing up bits for Thor: The Dark World.
Quite possibly.
Not to mention anything else he might have been working on.
Because that released just prior to the 50th anniversary special. So
yeah, and it would be surprising to suddenly come back in for.
And he probably would have been working on. Do you know whether that was filmed in the States or in the UK or not, or in the UK?
Hang on, let me check productions.
I thought most of it would have been in America, but
no, it was in Surrey. It was in Bournemouth, Surrey, so he wouldn't have had to be going between there and the US to do that. Then they also did some stuff in London, in Shepperton, Hayes, and Stonehenge. I'm seeing if they had to come back for retakes.
They almost always do. It's just a matter of who they need.
They had to go back for some reshoots, but I don't know if any of them were involved with his character. Because let's face it, he did not have the biggest role. I mean, he was the main villain, but he didn't have the biggest role.
No.
It became like over 50% Thor and Loki.
Well, with a movie named Thor, I would kind of hope he'd have
Well,
enough
Thor should have been in
presence.
there,
Yeah.
but what I mean is it became Thor and Loki, basically just feeding off of each other for like a good chunk of it. Yeah, I don't know if he would have had to be called back or not. He might have had to be called back for publicity shots or something.
Quite
I don't know.
possibly. Just so they have enough to go back to if they ever need this character again. If they
Okay.
decide to revisit him.
All right, so
Okay.
we can only speculate, so we'll move on from our speculations.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to speculation to the big finish.
Yes,
And
all of our news comes straight from the source at bigfinish.com.
that's right.
Go ahead, Tim. I believe you've got the first few.
Yes, and these stories are out now. Now, You Are the Doctor and Other Stories, which features 4 adventures in one for the 7th Doctor and Ace in the latest main range release. It brings you a new full cast adventure every month starring one of the original actors to play the Doctor on television. The 207th release, Doctor Who You Are the Doctor and Other Stories, presents 4 new adventures for Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, as the young companion learns to pilot the TARDIS for herself. You Are the Doctor is written by John Dorney, and then you have Come Die With Me by Jamie Anderson, The Grand Beetlejuice Hotel by Christopher Cooper, and Dead to the World by Matthew Elliott.
The Grand Beetlejuice Hotel sounds a lot like something that would be in like Hitchhiker's Guide or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually sounds familiar. It sounds like the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That might have been where they got the idea.
Most likely.
And it is available on CD and download today.
All right.
Also, available today is Doctor Who Theater of War and All-Consuming Fire, which again features Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor and Sophie Aldred as his companion Ace, and Lisa Bowerman. Theater of War's guest cast includes Kirsty Besterman, Richard Vranch, Ed Stoppard, Brian Dick, Ramon Tikaram, Gus Brown, and Milo Toomey.
By the way, it's worth noting, I believe both of these are in their novel adaptation line from the Virgin New Adventures.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought they sounded familiar.
Mm-hmm. And finally, for the out now, on the Windows, bring it up. We have The War Doctor 1, Only the Monstrous.
We've been mentioning this one, I think, repeatedly. Because Big Finish has been really pimping it the last few weeks, but it's actually out now.
Yeah, they want to recoup the cost of bringing in John Hurt, I think.
Oh yeah, probably.
To buy and download today, Doctor Who, The War Doctor 1, Only the Monstrous, sees John Hurt return as the Doctor's secret incarnation, back in action on the front lines of the last great time war. It takes place before the apocalyptic events portrayed in the 2013 Doctor Who TV special The Day of the Doctor, is a new 4-disc box set finding the War Doctor recruited for the war effort by the scheming Cardinal Illustra, played by Jacqueline Pierce. A desperate mission will send the Time Lord deep behind enemy lines, where the Daleks await.
Why do I know that name?
Jacqueline Pierce.
Yeah.
I think we had talked about. I think she was the villain in Blake 7.
Oh, Servalan. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The name. It's not a name I remember innately, but I hear it. It's like.
Something's ringing a bell. Something's ringing
Yeah.
a bell.
It
My brain
sets
won't
off all the
process.
alarms.
This box set includes 3 stories, along with a bonus documentary disc. The first story is called The Innocent, the second is The Thousand Worlds, and the third is The Heart of the Battle.
All right.
Do we have anything else to say about that?
Not really, because I think
Just
we've
the,
covered most of it.
The theme song bit.
Oh, the new opening, yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. This comes with a new instrumentation of the Doctor Who theme. I've listened to that. It sounds quite hardcore and warlike.
It sounds properly grungy for a War Doctor,
What
yes.
what it essentially is I'm not sure if it's adapted from or just borrows the style of, but it's essentially the same orchestral idea of the Eighth Doctor movie, except with more drums and making it a bit more military. I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's that sort of idea of being obviously orchestral, except very drum heavy.
Do they actually have a clip of it, or is it just like at the end of the trailer?
It's someone uploaded it onto YouTube. We have a link here. I don't think Big Finish has officially released that theme, other than it being in the downloads themselves.
Are you sure this is official?
It's not an official channel, the link that I have, but everyone I'm talked to who has listened to the box set seems to be confirming that that is indeed the theme that's appearing in there.
Huh. It's a bit Star Trek. It's a bit Wrath of Khan.
Kinda.
Can see
Again,
that.
it kind of works with the theme of the War Doctor, so might as well.
Moving on to more War Doctor news, we've got in our plot information on the second box set, Infernal Devices, which is released in February. Due to the fact that we have a lot to cover this week, I'm not going to go into as heavy detail as I normally would, but it includes Legion of the Lost by John Dorney, A Thing of Guile by Phil Mulrine, and The Neverwhen by Matt Fitton. I believe the Neverwhen does sound like something that the 10th Doctor might have referenced when talking about the Time War. So we are getting into some of the things people are looking for. This box sets, I do believe, from February are being released on a monthly basis until all 4 have been released. The final story from Doctor Who Classic Doctors New Monsters Volume 1 has been revealed as well. That is Jadoon in Chains by Simon Bernard and Paul Morris, featuring the 6th Doctor landing in Victorian England, where he finds a Jadoon warrior imprisoned by Jonathan Jaggers-esque traveling freak show.
Okay.
But Captain...
I was going to say, just the title itself sounded a bit kinky.
I don't know if I don't know who'd want to be kinky with a Jadoon, but I guess there's somebody out there.
Oh, somebody has to have a rhino fetish.
You're probably a very lovely woman of your species.
Yeah, someone has to be horny for rhinos.
Hi, my name's Captain Jack Harkness.
Why, hello there.
And our final bit of new information is that the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 6 writers have been revealed. Christopher Benjamin and Trevor Baxton will reprise their roles as Jago and Lightfoot, so that's no surprise as their spin-off is now up to 10 seasons.
Good grief.
Let's see here. This is set during the 18th season, featuring Romana 2 and K9, played by Lala Ward and John Neeson. Am I not seeing these writers? Am I blind? I'm a little blind, but okay, here we go. It features contributions from a range of top talent, including new to Big Finish writer Adrian Poynton, known for White Van Man. The remaining stories have been written by Kevan Scott, Mark Wright, James Goss, Phil Mulrine, Jonathan Morris, Andrew Smith, and Mark Platt. Yeah, Mark Platt has penned the 2-part series finale. Titles and further stories details will be released in a few months' time. Until then, Series 5 is starting in January 2016, when the Doctor, Romana, and K9 face the wave of destruction, for which there is a trailer.
All right.
And that covers our news.
All right. Well, normally this would be about the point that we'd be killing about 10 minutes of time to get through to the 5-minute challenge. But our 5-minute challenge is going to be a little long, as well as probably our good, bad, best, and worst reviews, because there's a lot to cover. Because this is actually 4 separate stories combined with an overarching plot arc, much like our series finale this year, which we originally had planned to do as 1 rating and decided we needed to do it in 3. We have to do this in 4. So what we're going to do is 4 separate 2-minute challenges, or 1 challenge in 8 minutes to cover everything. And I can tell you it's not going to be me, so I'm going to pull up my stopwatch.
Okie doke.
And I believe Matt said he wanted to try the 8-minute version.
I will try to attempt the 8-minute version if people want me to.
I
My only
have faith in you,
question,
Matt.
first and foremost, is do we want spoilers? I assume we want spoilers.
This
we
is
usually do.
This is that the spoilers are not an issue here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But trying to make it succinct as possible, getting it in 8 minutes so we can spend the maximum amount of time, because our reviews are going to be, our final thoughts are going to be hellacious long too.
Okie doke.
So, starting a stopwatch. Are you ready, Matt?
Just give me reminders of what the names of the episodes are. Otherwise, I am fine and ready to go.
All right. The episodes in the order are End of the Line,
In a line.
followed by The Red House, followed by Stage Fright,
Okay.
and what was the final one called?
The Brink of Death.
The Brink of Death. Thank you.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if it was that or On Death's Door. I knew it was something like that.
Brink of Death. All right. So starting with what was it? Trail's End.
Starting with End of the Line.
End of the line.
Yes.
See, I'm already forgetting them. I just heard them again.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going.
Dyslexia.
All right. So what's probably going to happen here is I'm going to give you a noise when 2 minutes are up.
Okie
All
doke.
right, and that'll tell you that you need to wind it up fast.
All right. Ready.
All right. 5, 4, 3, go.
End of the line starts off with the Doctor and his current companion ending up on a railway that is currently covered in a massive amount of fog. They manage to barely save a man in time from being run over by another train, and then start to realize that almost everyone is lost for one reason or another. They manage to follow the man back to his original train, only to find it wrecked and with a whole bunch of people having possibly been murdered, seeing it covered in blood. Continuing to travel about, however, they find another exact copy of the same train, and the Doctor starts putting things together. Essentially, they are at a breaking point where multiple universes are combining into one, and they need to find a way to stop it, otherwise almost every universe in the multiverse is going to connect it in one big, massive mess, and it's just going to pretty much destroy the fabric of space and time. So in the long run of the short of it, they finally get back to the source of it, which is at the actual train station, which continues to add more stopping points on it as they continue to run through it. And in the end, they find out that the Master has been opening up all the portals to the multiple dimensions and is attempting to gain the power of this to allow himself to do whatever he wants, wherever and whenever he wants. The Doctor, with the help of one of the custodians of this particular facility, is finally allowed to put an end to the Master's plan and send everything back to where it belongs and trap the Master in there as well, possibly, with the exception that he found his TARDIS again. After they leave, the Master, who was in disguise as one of the people on the train, bumps into one of the other people that were on the train. This person turns out to be the Valiard. He is very displeased with the Master messing about with stuff, and this is usually apparently one of the recuperative areas where he goes to refresh himself, and tells the Master to not butt into his plans and to leave the Doctor alone. He has plans of his own. The end.
All right, you did that in 1 minute 53 seconds. That means you've got 2 minutes and 7 seconds for the next one, which is the Red House. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
The Red House has the Doctor and yet another companion. Each one of these has a different companion, appearing in a small, possibly Earth outskirts outpost on a new planet with a central Red House. However, as dawn breaks, the bells are ringing as if it was a curfew bell, and then they suddenly see wolf-like police officers starting to hunt them down, to which the doctor proclaims them to be werewolves, and they start running for their lives. They have no choice at one point and have to end up in the forest, to which they also encounter other werewolves of the same race, and the doctor is knocked out while his companion is captured and dragged back to the town to the Red Building. The doctor finds out that these werewolves essentially turn into humanoids in daylight, but the humanoids are very ape-like and very vicious, even more so than their wolf forms. Hence the reason why they've been set out here, because they're essentially offshoots of humans that mutated with the local wildlife. And also, while the companion's at the Red Building, the doctor that was going to essentially wipe her mind is rendered unconscious, while another Time Lord presents himself to her and starts to let her go after explaining all the details of what she needs to do to stop the doctor from causing a catastrophe, which would cause a genocide of all the wolf people here, because he's about to obviously start a coup to stop this doctor who is essentially messing with the minds of these people. The coup starts to happen. The doctor starts to switch as he figures out what's going on and what's gone wrong. But before they can do anything, it's literally come down to the last minute. They try to save as the few people that they can, but as they're heading back to the TARDIS, the missile that was meant to commit the genocide, it explodes offshore, and they are forced to go on their merry way, having sort of helped hint to them another idea to keep themselves alive and move on. But also, oddly enough, the key to the TARDIS was already in the TARDIS and had
Running out
escaped
of
from the
time.
Doctor's jacket. The end.
Okay, you are now about 4 minutes over your time. You forgot to mention the fact that the device disappeared.
There's also the mind wipe device, which was meant to wipe out the companion, but disappeared at the very end of the story.
Yep. Okay, so the next one is stage fright. You've got about a minute 56.
Okay.
Go.
So the Time Lord that disappeared was the Valiard. He took the mind device from the previous episode and is now using it to take actors and wipe them of their energy to the point that they literally burn out. The Doctor appears and sees the costumes as well as these actors that are being burnt out, and adds two and two together and quickly starts to figure out that the Valiard has been stealing people's energy and killing them and leaving them as a personal message and a possible trap for the Doctor himself. He manages to get there in time to save some of our usual friends, I believe Lightfoot was one of them, and he continues to chase down the Valiard. And with thanks to his companion, he is able to pull away from giving the Valiard too much of the energy he wants, and just in time for a local angry mob to figure out what's also been going on and start smashing the mind-wiping device. But however, the Valiard escapes with the energy he needs to do what he has apparently been planning. End.
Wow, you did that one in just a minute. That means you've got basically about 2 minutes 50 seconds for the next one.
This
You're
is the
gonna
last
need it.
one.
Yep.
Okay, the last one. Yep, I'm not
Ready?
gonna need them. All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
The Doctor has been traveling with one of his companions yet again. I'm trying to remember her name, but I don't have time. Essentially, he goes underneath the TARDIS when it starts to malfunction, only to be zapped, and suddenly he's replaced with the Valiard, and
It's
the
Mel in
companion
this one.
Mel doesn't notice the difference. The Doctor finds himself inside the Matrix of Gallifrey and is saved by a person who should be checking out his station to be destroyed. He uses her TARDIS to try and chase after the Valiard, and in the end figures out that the Valiard has been setting up the Matrix to wipe out all the memories and knowledge of all the Time Lords and make everyone into Valiards, and trying to essentially redo time with him as the controller of everything. During this, he also finds out that the Valiard was actually not really the Doctor himself, so much as a Gallifreyan weapon that used all of his negative energies between his regenerations to create a person that has all of his memories and knowledge and is also a Time Lord. To this, the Doctor finally decides that enough is enough, and he will actually sacrifice himself in order to stop the Valiard and his twisted plans to destroy time and space in his own image. End.
Okay, you actually had time on that one. All right.
Go, Matt, go.
Your goal was 8 minutes. You did it in about 6.5.
Woo!
Nice.
Eat it.
Good run there.
All right. So let's move on to what we like. We're going to do this in a go. Well, go ahead, Bill.
I was just gonna say one thing before that. Even though we don't have a lot of time for it, is anybody extremely confused by the companions to the point where they have to ask questions before we go on? Because I know there were 3 audio exclusive companions here with varying degrees of backstory.
I think
was everybody able to follow? Okay.
I think the
More-
first one, the end one.
more
before
or
Mel.
less. The first one I think was a completely new companion.
Yes,
I think
this
she
was
just
her
got
first
introduced, yeah.
first story. Her actual introduction was the following month.
Yeah, so that was a little bit confusing for me. The one of the other ones, Flip, was a character from, I believe, the novels that they've imported into Big Finish. Because
Okay.
I've seen Flip before in that, either that or it's from like other Sixth Doctor audios that were not part of the main line.
And we all know Mel.
Okay, I was under the impression she was a fairly new Sixth Doctor companion, not as new as Constance, but newer than some of the other, like the newer than someone like Evelyn.
Well, Evelyn can't be used anymore because Maggie Stables is dead.
Yeah, that's pretty much the reason she's not in this special. But
Yep, I'm pretty sure she would have been in Constance's role, or I'm surprised they didn't actually though start with Perry, since Nicola Bryant is.
yeah, I thought that was because Perry did not, or I thought that Perry did not travel with him after he met the Valyard, and then I found out that she actually got back on the TARDIS after leaving at some point. So she actually did, in either audios or novels. So she actually could have been in here, but for whatever reason, they probably decided that was too complicated.
Okay.
So let's introduce a totally new character.
Yep. Okay.
That's not complicated at all.
Flip is an audio companion. She's only been in a few episodes, but I think she was the original Evelyn replacement.
Yep.
And then they've also added Constance.
Yep.
The Sixth Doctor's just picking them up and traveling with them, man.
Yeah, and Charlie Pollard was originally an Eighth Doctor companion. She traveled with him, and then they ended up separating, and the Sixth Doctor picked her up. They traveled together from some time, and from what I understand, she ended up actually doing something a little similar to the ending of Hellbent, in that she had to keep him from remembering her by the time his 8th incarnation came around. And of course, now she has her own Big Finish line.
Yeah, she's like their next she's like the next Bernice Summerfield. But those were the
Except
four.
She never slept with the Doctor, to my knowledge.
That I'm not even going to touch with that one. I'm not going to touch with that. So the companions that we see in order are Constance, Charlie, Flip, and then Mel. And of course, it had to be Mel because Mel was on the TARDIS when 6 regenerated.
Yep.
So, and the only one that's actually, TV show fully canon is Mel, and to a lesser extent now Charlie, because of the mentioning in Night of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's move on to our likes and dislikes. We got about 40 minutes to do this because we're going to have to take an extra 5 minutes for summaries. Therefore, we are going to do our likes and dislikes through all 4 audios. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, I know. All right, Matt.
Okay, so just the first one or all 4 of them in a row?
No, all 4.
Likes.
Because it usually takes us 45 minutes to go through likes and dislikes for one episode.
So just all of it all at once, or just one at a time?
All of it all at once. If you only have something in particular you specifically like of all 4, you only need mention one thing.
Okay.
Okay, so I can do all of them just all at once, but I can do one at a time. The first one, I liked the really creepy mood and the really interesting setup. You don't quite know what's going on until the like halfway mark, and then you start putting things together. That was really kind of interesting. The second one was also a nice little mystery, but I started to clue in as soon as another Time Lord, quote unquote, walked onto the scene. It's just like, oh no.
Mm.
Um, third one. I like the idea of the third one. The Valiar just literally playing mind games and just going, "Here I am, find me." And then the fourth one was just a nice combination of everything just rolled into this ball, and you finally see where all this was leading to.
All right.
So overall, it was a nice overall branching final episode, which just and capped it.
All right. Bill?
We're still keeping favorite scenes separate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so first one, I like the way that it started off as one kind of story and became a completely different one when you weren't looking. Second, not sure I have a favorite scene though, so I'll move on for now. Third, I like the way that there were all the different regeneration stories were being referenced in the story, but in an original way. Fourth, I liked the new quasi-companion, even though just from her introduction, I knew that something was going to happen to her by the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
So that takes it to Tim.
All right, the first one I liked the ideas of parallel universes it presented, especially the one that when parallel universes cross, your own behavior starts to like bleed into like who you would be in other people, rather than just keeping things separate. I thought that was a great idea, and they did a lot with it in the time they had. The second one, I uh, I liked the fact that who is originally set up as the heroes and the villains of this piece turn out to be not as bad as you think, and on the other hand, they're also not as good as you think. That I love stories like that. The third one, I just love the atmosphere of the theater it invokes, and it really shows that like what it's like to work in live theater.
Can I interrupt you for a moment, Tim?
Yes,
Have you actually ever seen Talents of Wang Chiang?
I have not seen Challenge of Wang Chiang.
Okay, because that's the actual first episode that Jago and Lightfoot appear in. It's the actual episode of Doctor Who.
Oh,
So you might actually be relatively interested about that because that one by and large also takes place in Jago's theater.
Hmm.
okay.
So you can actually have a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to review it one of these days too. I
Yes.
keep mentioning it and we keep putting it off because there's a whole bunch of other stuff we got to do too.
All of a sudden, something else crops up. Yeah. Anyway, continue.
And then the fourth thing, my favorite thing overall, was just Colin Baker himself, because like he was given this like the golden egg of his regeneration scene at last, and he just he lived up to my expectations of
Did somebody order a large ham?
this. But it's I would have expected large ham after 28 years.
Large
So
ham extra
that's
cheese
my
with a
overall.
side of ego.
Mhm.
Which, admittedly, it's the Sixth Doctor. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So, Aaron, go ahead.
All right. So the first one, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Tim's. I do like the idea of having a darker version of yourself out there, and I thought that was kind of an interesting look at some of the characters. Also, kind of the mystery of the bodies piling up. That was kind of funny. There's like multiple versions of one person that they keep finding
Dead
everywhere.
over and over and over again. He's
Yeah,
he's like
it's
the
just like,
first
wait
guy
a
that dies in
second.
almost every universe.
He died here, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he died here, and he
Dave.
died there.
They
Dave,
keep
yeah.
killing Dave.
Dave's dead,
yeah.
Dave.
I guess that's also my favorite scene. I kind of jumped the gun on that, so might as well put that as my favorite scene. Episode 2, I like kind of the way that they swapped out the werewolves turning into humans. It's something that we've seen before, but the fact that they don't really turn into full-fledged humans, they turn more into like these primates. That was kind of cool.
They're like,
That was
they're
kind
like
of a
they're
neat
like were
twist.
people. They turn into savage semi-humans while being civilized wolves during the night.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was kind of like a new spin on wolf wares.
Yeah. Which
I like
Although I
to
got
think they
lost
got
when
that
I tried
idea
to
of-
explain how it happened. I kind
yeah,
of
it is kind of fan fictiony, but at the same time, I haven't seen it myself, so I thought it was kind of original. So, and then the third one, I do like the Jago. I do like Jago in that Jago and Lightfoot showing up. So that was pretty cool. Just kind of meet them again. And then the fourth one, I like the idea of the Doctor kind of confronting his own mortality. It kind of got a little dragged out, but he pretty much just has it, and it's just kind of the fact that it really grinds him down. Like we see that he has 3 minutes left, and then he has like 1 minute left, or maybe just over a minute left, and then he's just like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna try to stop this once and for all. So those
You
are my
wanted
favorites.
this, I'll give it to you, Valiard. It's all yours. At a cost.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm also going to mention with the others that I liked the whole pan-dimensional idea. I didn't like what Tim liked about the cross-contamination. But I liked the way they portrayed the whole concept of there being a pan-dimensional nexus. That's something I may have to steal rather liberally. So that level of the writing appealed to me, and some of their descriptions of it really kind of interested me. As for the second episode, I actually liked the technical explanation on how they became that way.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really digging it up until the point that they explained it, and I'm just like, okay, it's science fiction now. It makes a lot more sense. Other than Planet of the Wolves that turn into were people. Okay, I got it. The third episode, I am not as fond of Jago and Lightfoot as the others, and I'm worried Big Finish might be overdoing them a bit. But still, I liked the overall kind of horror-ish of it. The murder investigation, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that you met could do that in the twisted versions. I liked that. And then the fourth one, I liked the outwitting, them trying to each plan around each other.
yeah.
And the Doctor eventually winning. So that
Sherlock and Moriarty in Time and Space.
Yep. So that's what you liked. What didn't you like? And we'll start with Matt. And again, you don't have to do one for each episode if you don't have one for each episode.
I actually, for this one, I don't have one for each episode, but I do have one that kind of encompasses them all.
That's cool.
There are periods here and there, in particular more evident, I think, in the second episode and some of the early stuff in the fourth episode, where it just feels like we're kind of just running around in circles. Can we please get to the point? All of them suffer from it a little bit, but those two in particular feel like it's like, okay, we're kind of padding. Can we get to the point now? Oh, we got to the point at the very end of the third act.
So they're a little too classic Who-y, basically.
A little bit at times. Not to say that it always happens to Classic Who, but Classic Who does tend to suffer it the most out of all of the...
Classic Who sometimes
runs of
pads
Doctor
for
Who.
2 hours at a time, so...
Well,
Yeah.
Depending on
that's
the
kind of,
episode, yeah.
that's kind of interesting because they had New Who problems in this, since each one had to be around the length of a special
Right.
of an hour, rather than a hour and a half to 2 hours, which they're used to in Big Finish.
Mhm.
Padding the film.
Okay. So, Bill, what didn't you like?
I didn't like that Anthony Ainley was dead.
They can't help that.
I know, but that's my major flaw with the first part, so I had to bring it up.
Dun,
I
dun.
was glad he appeared, and then I realized why it wasn't the real actor, and I got sad. So I disliked being sad.
I don't like being sad either.
They can't help that Anthony Ainley is dead, and it would have been nice if they had gotten an Anthony.
I'm not
Ainley
detracting from the
impersonator.
rating for it. Don't worry, but
It's got the guy that did it from Curse of Fatal Death.
is that really him?
No, that's what I'm saying. They should have done.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
They
say, I'm
should have
like,
done
wow.
that,
I'm like,
yeah.
if they did, I would be totally
He would have been
reappraising it.
perfect.
Although I do think that he did pretty well once he kicked into mode. His tone was pretty well.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the second one, as I mentioned, I got kind of lost when they got into their unnecessary explanation of where people came from, and I'm like, I'm getting confused, and it's not necessary.
Was for me.
Oh. I kind of
worked
just
for me
like the idea
too.
that they were the natural form of life. Third one. This may be because I haven't had time for the character to grow on me yet, but upon listening a second time, I wasn't that much of a fan of Flip. Again, it might just be because of unfamiliarity with the character, but she seemed, I don't know, I would have liked a different companion there. Fourth one.
Like, I really would have loved to have Perry in there somewhere.
Yeah, Perry there would have been great.
Perry in that one would have actually been perfect.
Or if they'd had Constance there and Perry in the first one.
Yeah.
Just saying, I would have liked that a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of one off the top of my head for the fourth part. I'm sure I have something, but I don't want to stall and think about it.
All right. Tim, then?
Although we seem to be making good time.
Yeah, we do, and that's good, but you never know when we're going to stall out in tangent, so.
Yeah.
If we have time after this, we can kill time a bit and discuss various things up until the 42, so okay, go ahead, Tim.
I just have one thing for all that I didn't like, and that's that I wish the convolution was more evenly spaced out. Because it seems to me that the story didn't really get convoluted until the last one, Brink of Death, which was kind of hard for me to swallow.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else.
I didn't have that problem, no. Anyone else seem to have any problems with it getting kind of convoluted and confusing at the end?
My only problem was it was taking its sweet time, actually.
Okay.
It was intentionally convoluted, but I felt like I was able to keep up with it well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Apparently you're on your own there, Tim.
Oh.
To each their own, though. It's a valid point, so it might have confused some other people, too. So that's
All right.
it.
All right. So then, Aaron?
All right. I guess the first one, I guess the master was important. Yeah, it's kind of hard to with 4 hours worth of stuff to listen to. It's kind of hard to remember what I liked and what I didn't like specifically. I guess the first one kind of felt a little bit convoluted. I usually listen to the stuff while I play MMOs, and spare parts I can follow pretty easily. Jubilee I could follow pretty easily. But this one, the first one, I could not follow that well. Like, I kept having to rewind and re-listen to chunks and bits and pieces to it, and I still can't remember, a good chunk of the plot until Matt summarized it, and I talked to Rand about it.
Yeah. I had a little trouble the first time, too. when I was playing Fallout. I listened to it again right before the podcast, and it made a lot more sense to me.
I'm mildly surprised that your guys are so confused by it, because I was listening to it while I was getting angry at a game while trying to fix it to make it playable, and then start playing it while I was
Yeah,
listening.
I can't listen to audios while I'm doing anything that involves any sort of concentration because I'll quickly lose track of where I am in the audio and have to rewind it. So I usually
Well,
only listen while I'm commuting.
I think I'm going to stick to non-survival mode Minecraft when I listen to audios from here on out.
Yeah, I'm all I was doing was playing Rift, which is pretty mindless grinding for the most part for when you come to MMOs. I wasn't doing any heavy RP, but I was setting up my level 60 character.
I was playing roller derby disco dodgeball.
All right, so moving on to the second one. What I didn't like was that almost the same thing that I did like is that it does feel a little fan fictiony to be swapping around, having the werewolves turn into humans. I like that it was kind of original for me, but at the same time, I feel that if someone watched or listened to a lot of horror, they probably have heard that, and may have felt that it was kind of lame. So, I'm kind of torn on that. Also, kind of the
I've
werewolf
heard worse
society.
versions.
Yeah, I've heard worse versions too. I guess the civilized werewolf society is kind of weird. I guess it does work, but it's also kind of reminds me of a silly furry fandom, I guess.
Yeah, that was the thing. I couldn't believe nobody on the mainland would have seen these people and went, "All right, furries."
Yeah, pretty much. So the third one, well, I did, again, it was one of those things where I liked it, but I also didn't like it. The reenactment of some of the scenes of the deaths, that was kind of cool in that it's harkening back to the past of the series, but at the same time, they're done rather cornily, and it's also kind of, it's almost like the series is critiquing itself, how it keeps making callbacks to previous occurrences, like previous events. I felt like some of the bad acting and stuff, like they're supposed to be acting badly because they're just recruited off the street,
Well, his point was he wanted extra melodrama so that he could draw off of the overcharged emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were already acting more extremely than the episode they were parroting, but he wanted more.
Yeah, it kind of lent kind of almost a self-parody to those moments. But I guess it's not something that I absolutely hate. It was just kind of sometimes annoying, I guess.
But not quite to the Ember Island players, I take it.
No. No, I don't think so. The fourth one, again, nothing really stood out to me that was really terrible, but at the same time, for a death episode, nothing really stood out to me. Like, nothing was, super awesome or anything like that. I guess, yeah. That's my point of view.
Okay. I only have one major beef, and that is the relevance of these episodes to the finale. They were listed as being 4 related episodes, and tell me, what does the first episode have to do with any of the following episodes?
Just setting up the Valiard has a plan.
It's the Valiard gaining strength as the beginning of this marathon.
Yeah, which means that if you cut that episode, if you started with episode 2, 3, and 4, would you actually feel like you were missing anything?
But it's the most popular episode.
No, I'm just saying.
If I never knew it existed, probably not. But
Yeah.
it was really well written.
I'm not talking about how good it is or anything. I'm talking plot relevance.
Yeah.
I am talking plot relevance. Would you know that there was anything missing in the plot if you cut the first episode?
Well, that's what I was saying when the convolution. it seems that that they're trying to tie most of the things together all at once at the very end.
There would be one issue, and that would be in part 2. You would not know who the Valyard was unless you already recognized Michael Jason's voice, whereas part 1 sort of primes you for that.
That's
really
it,
the only
didn't
thing.
really to me. I mean, first of all, you know the Valyard are if you watch the the Trial of a Time Lord. I mean,
I'll say like if you look
what,
at the box, you know the Valyard's the main villain, but
I mean, and that's the only thing about that is it sets the Master up as the villain only to be usurped by the Valyard, which kind of was pointless. So you could more or less cut that first episode and you'd be good. Again, other than the gaining power thing, which isn't really that plot relevant, what does episode 3 do for 2 and 4? Because he doesn't seem to be weak and depowered in episode 2. He doesn't really seem that weak and depowered throughout most of the rest of it either. So him gaining power isn't really as relevant as it sounds. Really, the only thing that they tie to 4 is the fact that he went into the TARDIS at 2 and did X. That's really their only tie, and that was kind of a letdown to me. I would have liked it if something extra dimensional from 1 also was either part of the solution or something.
Or that was also kind of what I was not really able to verbalize about 4, and that I couldn't really come up with something off the top of my head. And it's something like that, whereas if more of the elements in 4 were introduced in the first 3, I think it would have made a stronger story.
Yes, I think that was a bit of a letdown. That's exactly my point. Okay. So, enough with my bitching. Scenes that you like. Matt.
Each one of them again?
If you want.
I think that my favorite amusing scene in the first one was when they meet the same guy who's died like 3 times before, and they're like, yeah, this is the 4th one now. So something's obviously up. That was one of my favorite parts of the first one. The second one, I tried to think. Anything in particular I really liked about the second one? Nothing particularly grabbed me as a particularly good scene. I mean, there's a few okay ones. Brain, come on, focus. I guess if I had to go with something off the top of my head, the finale was really exciting until you suddenly realize, oh wait, it's not going to happen. Oh well.
All right.
That kind of got my attention.
Anything else?
The third one, I guess the fact that we're just the opening hints of the regeneration that you very start to quickly pull together if you know anything about the regenerations, that the opening of the episode is the 4th Doctor's regeneration. It's just like, oh, what is he doing?
Yeah.
What is he up to? Because it doesn't sound like the other people enjoyed it at the end. And then the 4th one, while it did seem a little bit clustered at times and ran around a bit, I particularly liked the end bit between the Doctor and the Valyard.
All right.
So I guess that's all 4.
All right, Bill?
All right. First one, I'm going to say the exchange between the Doctor and the Master, particularly the part where he's, the whole universe is just a giant dressing up box to him. That part cracked me up. Kind of a critique of the Ainley era. The second one, and this is actually more than one scene, so I probably could have mentioned it earlier, but I didn't come up with that at the time because I was just thinking it was a scene. But the scenes in which Charlie is essentially trying to hide the fact that she's been, traveling with the Doctor for years from the Doctor, and is just like, oh yeah, vortisaurs. I have no idea what they are. Oh no, I don't fall into pit traps all the time.
As a counterpoint to that, Bill,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the running theme of the entire Charlie with the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah.
That they do that nearly every one I've heard of that.
Where was I? Third one. I'm not sure if I can think of a particular scene that stands out to me. There were just a lot of generally enjoyable scenes, but like what Matt mentioned, not really a particular one. Fourth, I would say the final confrontation where the Doctor finally figures out how to win.
Okay. All right, Tim.
The first scene I liked from the first part was the scene where that woman slowly goes mad, and then it becomes more rapid how mad she's going. Is like, oh, I never got a tattoo. Now I can get a tattoo. Ha ha ha. Now I can go crazy. Let the other one be the boring one. I thought that was a lot of fun. The second part, my favorite scene was the one where it really showcased like the limitations but also advantages of a purely audio format in which you have the Doctor describing the transformation as it's happening to him. It's like, oh, there's a hole in the roof. It's opening up. The sunlight is shining through. Ah, it's a wolf. Her hair is receding. She's turning into this monster. Ah, it's scary. Ah!
Like when people talk on the phone and TV.
Yeah.
You're like, no conversation would ever go like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The my third favorite scene was when Flip overcomes her stage fright and sort of shock the Doctor out of, is like, and the Valuator is like, don't pay attention to her, pay attention to me. It's like, no, this girl is much more interesting than you. Yeah, you're old school,
Pretty much the Valyard in a nutshell. Pay attention to me.
And finally, my favorite moment from the fourth one was when I heard what was either Sylvester McCoy or a very good impression of Sylvester McCoy.
That was Sylvester. He's
Sylvester.
he's a Big Finish regular. They're like, hey, Syl, can you come in here and do a couple of lines, please?
We're kind of retouching where you got regenerated into being the Doctor. Oh, excellent.
He's probably ecstatic to actually, get a regeneration with Colin this time instead of having to dress up as Colin in clothes that don't fit.
And a fright wig.
Yeah, that was horrific. All right, so Aaron.
I got lost in his trousers.
All right, so for the first one, we're doing scenes that we like, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Scenes that I like in the first one. Well, I kind of like the argument with the ticket puncher. Like, so you have all this experience from the punching tickets all your time, right? And then doesn't the same guy...
I believe his name was Norman.
Yeah, Norman. Because, like, don't they go and they find out that Norman actually, it's a series of other beings that actually do know pretty much everything about this area?
Yes.
The nexus that's forming? So I
they're like
found
the
that.
caretakers.
Yeah, they're pretty much the caretakers. So yeah, I kind of like that one. Was kind of funny. The werewolf one. I actually kind of like it towards the beginning where they figure out they're actually being chased by police werewolves. I was like, wait a second, okay. Again, going with the whole civilized werewolf thing is it's kind of more comedic than than
What a
anything, but
twist.
still, yeah, what a twist. And then the third one with the stage, I do like the scene where pre where he's talking about how um she's had to face her fear. I can't remember what companion that is.
That's Flip.
That's not. Is that Flip? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Flip was in the stage one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of forgettable.
Yeah. Flip. Yeah. Talking about how she had to face her fears. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the fourth one, I thought the whole revelation of the Valyard being Jensen or whatever, or Jensen being taken over by the Valyard. That one, it was both horrifying and it was also kind of a surprise twist. I can't remember. Did he always have control over her? Did he just take control of her at that moment?
That's
Yes.
where he's kind of playing with the doctor, like, guess when I became her.
Oh
And
yeah,
the
that's
doctor's
right.
like, no, I refuse to believe that it was you all along. I know it was not you at the beginning, but that's where he's kind of doing the cat and mouse thing.
Yeah, they never really truly tell you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not Jensen was a real person or not, we're not entirely sure in the aftermath. Sadly.
Because, of course, the doctor's busy regenerating.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so me. My favorite bit is that when you first meet the administration, Norman, because it was actually a callback. I don't know if you guys realize this, to the character of Popelwick from The Ultimate Foe, which there was also multiple versions of the exact same character in there who were dysfunctionaries.
I'm trying to remember that one. I can't remember that one off the top of my head.
That's the end of Trial of a Time Lord.
Oh.
When they go into the Matrix to chase down the Valyard and they find his, what I forget what it was, the Imagination Factory or something.
Okay.
And there's a Popelwick on the outside going, I can't let you in, da 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 da. They get past him, and then they get past him. There's another one on the inside going, welcome, welcome. So it was literally almost the same role, but done better. 2, I liked the actual explanation when they explained how they became how they were, because it's suddenly gone from being, hey, look, anti-werewolves, to, hey, look, actual science fiction.
They're actual species, and they're sort of related to humans.
Yay, I can see this. I can see this now. I still think the transmutable virus is still a bunch of bullshit, but I can buy the rest of it. Number 3, my favorite scene in number 3 is pretty much whenever they were at the tavern they go to. Because that was kind of just enjoyable little camaraderie bits.
The one where Flip kept asking for a drink and the doctor kept cutting her off.
Mm-hmm. And then 4, I liked the outwitting at the end myself, where it was just that moment where it was finally, I'm going to do this, and you've been busy laughing at me for so long, but guess what? You're not anymore.
Just the Sixth Doctor's evil, sinister laugh back at the Valyard, and the Valyard finally shuts up and goes, wait, what have you done?
Nope, to you, Valyard, one last troll face. All right, we got 5 minutes to do scenes we don't like, so, Matt.
First one, scene I didn't like. I think the whole, the speedy extension of the rail system seemed a little bit shoehorned, just to have a running scene that we never actually get to see or hear.
I think that would have been more visually impressive.
Yeah. It would have worked better as a visual than it would have worked as a straight up audio. Second one, I think the worst scene was they're just kind of sitting around milling about for like the longest time. I'm literally sitting here waiting for. I think the longest waiting time I remember just sitting here going get on with it was when they were going to have the one wolf girl check out the doctor, and it just took so bloody long before anything was about to finally happen, and then finally the wolf police show up. It's just like, how long does this take? Third one, weakest scene on the third one. Wow, someone's got a huge amount of background whistle, by the way.
Let this be a cue to the rest of you to actually think of what your scenes are.
I didn't think we were going to have weakest scenes.
We always have weakest scenes.
Well, we were trying to talk like we weren't.
I'm not sure where that whistle's coming from.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's coming from either, but it's starting to get really annoying. Anyway, I'm going to just pass the third one. I can't think of anything right now.
Right.
Fourth one, the weakest scene, I suppose, was just constantly sending the Doctor back to the Matrix didn't make much sense. I mean, it's understandable from a dramatic standpoint, but from the actual standpoint, it's like, why does he keep getting sent back there? That doesn't make any sense. Unless the Valiant has something to do that.
All right. Bill.
But the first one, I'm going to say the Valiant reveal, not because of how it was executed, just because it was kind of tacked on, and I felt like it should have had more to do with the story and been written in a different way. The second one, I mean, I kind of mentioned one area. I don't think I really have another particular scene that stands out, although I'm not so sure how I feel about the resolution. It was a little convoluted with the Valiant apparently saving them. The third one, I am going to say the part where the Doctor and the Valiant are having a conversation, and in the background, Flip and the other guy are just acting out the scene as if the Doctor never showed up. Fourth one, I'm not sure this is really what I should say, but it was the least enjoyable scene, and that was the one where they're talking about whether or not the Valiant was Genesta the whole time and such. And I don't know, I feel like it kind of killed some of the whole innocence of the Doctor finds a new companion and such sequence.
It was supposed to, I think. Because the Valiant's just mocking him at this point.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's not that it was necessarily done poorly, just it was the least enjoyable.
Okay. All right, so Tim.
I didn't really have a least favorite scene for each of them, but there's one scene I didn't like in the second one, and that's, I hate these scenes where all you have to do is ask a question, but you don't, and it's like where the character assumes is like when Dr. Payne was like saying, "Oh, I'm just going to subject you to this brain draining device because I'm just going to assume that you're not human, despite your protests."
I think that was because she thought she was literally the only human on the island. There wasn't supposed to be any other humans there, so it's basically, yes, you're here, you must be a lupine.
I can see that, but you know,
it still kind of flats in the face of logic.
Mm-hmm.
You're there, you're oddly dressed, you should be, you know.
You know, the fact that she's supposedly like this a doctor, and like none of this is like waving any red flags.
Yeah.
She did mention it was the first female she had caught, so I think she was chalking up all of the weird things to this is a different breed.
Just I never care for those types of scenes.
All right. Okay, so that's the only one you got. Aaron, how about you?
First one, I can't really think of one for the first one. It's
Then
just
pass.
the first one just feels passing on the first one. Second one,
I'm sorry, we got to go through you to me, and we got 1 minute. So
yeah, well, guess what? I can't really think of anything for any of these because it's just such a glut of information. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I'm sorry.
So care to join me with lynching Bill for having us do all of these at once at the end of this?
Yeah.
To be fair, we didn't exactly have 4 weeks, and who wants to do just the brink of death?
Yeah.
Because then you
All
have
right.
to do all the back explaining.
So, okay, my least favorite scene was probably the Valeyard scene at the end because, yeah, it did seem to be kind of a tacked on reveal. 2, my least favorite scene was the I want to stay with you because I love you scene because it was very badly acted with the one lead wolf being way too Liverpool for my tastes. The third, my least favorite scene. I'll actually pass on that. And then the fourth, I'll actually pass on too. So there we go. We're still 1 minute behind schedule, but that's acceptable. We will move on to final thoughts, however. Starting with Matt.
Final thoughts. Overall, despite the fact that there are a few of these episodes that really could have been done without, and there are some padding places here and there, I think it generally does still fit all together, at least in a decent package that helps build itself into the final episode, which is a huge and grand conclusion. So overall, I can forgive any little flaws and mistakes in this particular run.
All right. That's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. All right. Bill?
I'm going to say this is a very interesting take on the idea of the serial. It's kind of what the Face of Bo could have been if they had wrapped that up in Journey's End. It's better than the way Moffat does this, sort of broken down over several seasons stories, and it's not perfect, but I still like the idea of the serial split out over multiple companions, and I'm waiting for that next step up of doing it even better.
All right. Tim?
The payoff at the very end made everything else worth it. So this is, I think, a very good show. But the problem is that the end tried to tie it all together too suddenly, rather than it being linked together bit by bit throughout the entire 4 parts series. But it was I'd say it was worth waiting 28 years for this.
All right. Aaron?
It was nice to see the sixth Doctor finally regenerate to the seventh, but most of these stories were pretty forgettable for me. Like even trying to listen to them, it was kind of hard, or having my full attention, it was kind of hard to keep track of everything or to maintain my interest. So yeah, that's my point of view.
All right. This is indicative for what Big Finish does when it gets a hold of a chance to do something like this. It reminds me very much of Light in the End, where they get a chance to do a special and they're like, let's make it big, let's make it epic, let's make it big and epic. And in the end, it doesn't fully pay out because they seem to write the episodes without really thinking about the other episodes in unison. I had the same problem when they tried to tie in the whole, not Light at the End, excuse me, Destiny of the Doctor.
Destiny of the Doctor, I know they definitely had said each person was doing their own thing until they got about halfway through and realized they had to tie it together.
Yeah, and this kind of feels the same way. The tying together is very contrived, and in some places not at all. It's nice to see Colin get a regeneration, but I really wish they would have taken an extra few months to actually, think it out and outline it together so that everything tied back on each other, and then sent them to go write it, rather than just have everyone write it and then make an edit to try to tie it all together, because it just didn't work. And that's my opinion. So we will go to ratings, and we will be rating each episode individually here. So the first episode, End of Line, the train depot. Matt, you get first dibs.
Really good story. However, to be tied in with the final episode, it really lacks. So
No
4.
conversation points, please. We've got to go through this 4 times.
About them. Like I said, a 4.
All right, Bill.
You said we're just doing the first one?
Yes.
I'm going to say 5.
All right, Tim.
I'm going to say 4.5.
4.5. Aaron.
3.5.
3.5. I'm actually going to give this a 4.0 flat, and that's above what it was originally for me. Okay, moving on to The Red House. Wolfwares. Matt.
About 3.5, I guess.
3.5 from Matt. Bill.
3.5.
All right, Tim.
5.
5 for Wolfwares. Aaron.
3.5.
3.5 from Aaron, and I too will give it a 3.5. Tim's being very generous on that one, and out there by himself. Okay. That takes us to...
Wait. You said Tim, but you wrote Aaron had a 5.
Oh, sorry, that was my mistake. Sorry, that was my mistake. Trying to do this quickly. That would bite us in the ass down the line. Okay, so coming to Stage Fright, Matt.
I think that bounces back up to a 4 again.
4.0 from Matt. Bill.
4.
All right. Tim.
4.
Aaron.
4.
All right. House is unanimous, giving it a 4. And then finally, The Brink of Death.
Oh, very close. 4.5.
4.5 for Matt. Bill.
I'm going to say another 4.
4 flat for Bill. Tim.
I'm going to say 5.
You really liked those two, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Aaron.
I'm going to say 3.5.
Ouch.
And I'm actually going to give it a 3.5 as well because of the lack of tying in. And that leaves our scores at End of the Line being 4.2, The Red House being 3.8, Stage Fright being 4.0 flat, and Brink of Death being 4.1. It's going to take me a moment here to get the rest of the sheet together because
Well, while you're doing that, Bill could probably do our send-off at the usual end.
except we usually do that at the end.
Well, otherwise we're just kind of sitting here with a lot of dead air.
It would be kind of weird to do a send-off and then stop and go over what they're next to.
Yeah, this is going to take me a while, so I'm going to do that.
We really do need to figure out something to pad out this dead air.
Let's see, 4.2, I believe, was the first one. Correct? Yes, 4.2. Puts it on par with Frontier in Space, Destiny of the Daleks, Hellbent, and The Mind Robber. Wow. We really liked that one, because Hellbent was one of our better ones.
Mhm.
Red House ranked in at 3.8, and that puts it on par with Enemy of the World, Ghost Light, a Seventh
Mhm.
Doctor, and the movie Daleks Invasion Earth 2150. The next one, Stage Fright, comes in at a 4 flat. 4 flat is Castrovalva, Destiny of the Doctor, Hunters of Earth, Light at the End, and Planet of the Spiders.
Very good
Puts it
company.
above Into the Dalek, Blink, and the Next Doctor, and below Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, Curse of Fatal Death, Mummy on the Orient Express. Wow. That's higher than I thought these would get. And then Brink of Death came in at 4.1, which puts it on par with Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, Curse of Fatal Death, Mummy of the Orient Express. And just below Legopolis, The War Games, and Destiny of the Doctor Shockwave, and above Castrovalva, Hunters of Earth, Light at the End, etc. That puts them at about number 32-ish for the top out of what's going to be about 135 episodes now. 32 at the high, and the low is going to come in at about 60 on our chart. So all of them are going to rank between 32 and 60.
Okay. So still the upper half.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually surprising to me because I actually thought there would be a little less on this because, like I said, I kind of went into it with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because of the lack of tie-in.
Tie-in isn't always everything, though. It's also the story too, and these are
Well,
pretty
that's
solid
not
stories.
not tie-in to other Doctor Who. I meant tying in that final episode to the
Yeah.
previous 3.
Right.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that, and I'm still saying, despite the lack of tie-in at the end, it still had at least traces of it, and it still was decent story, decent story, decent story. It's just a matter of how well they were done.
So we've finally, for real this time, wrapped up our regeneration stories. If you enjoy listening to us, please like the video and subscribe on whatever you listen to, YouTube, Twitch, and or Mixcloud. You can also like and subscribe or follow whatever the hell whatever the kids are calling it nowadays on
get off your
Facebook and
lawn.
Twitter.
Well, it's the fact that Twitter just changed their thing now. I think
They
it's all
keep
likes now.
all the social media changes. I don't know. I'm getting
Likes
too old
and
for social
shares.
media, apparently. And if you want to support us, you can always go on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast. Do not join us next week because we won't be here at our normal time.
No. Join us
We will
next
be
week,
here
just
on
not at.
Friday.
I was going to say, do join us next week, just not at our normal time.
Yes, do join us next week, but not on Wednesday. We will be, if not at our normal time, close to it on Friday the 25th. So keep an ear out for the exact time.
It depends on how long the Christmas special is.
Right.
I'm actually thinking we're going to be an hour later on Christmas because I'm suspecting it's going to be about an hour and a half here. And it takes us usually about half an hour of setup time.
Yeah, it usually takes at least a half hour or more to wrangle, so...
So we're going to try to post on Facebook and Twitter when we have an exact time for that.
Oh,
so
no.
Until then...
Actually, give me a moment. One moment.
Okay.
One moment, and turning on my television, because I will tell you the exact length that it's airing on BBC America. Thank God, the glory of cable television.
Will anybody have to drive home after the episode?
I don't know. I don't think we've been invited anywhere.
I think the only places we've been invited to have been, like, New Year's things, and I'm just like,
Well, I have been invited over to Sarah's usually, and that's usually a half-hour drive, but if it's going to be this tight of a show... I don't think we need to worry about it. Okay. 25th.
Because, the best time to have an episode when kids are around with their families watching TV is 9 in the evening.
Well, that's BBC America for you. Okay, so the Husbands of River song is... That can't be right. Okay, there we go. That's better. Starts at 8 p.m. Central, and goes until approximately 9:15. So that's 10:15 Eastern. So I would still say probably we would start at about 11 Eastern. Or excuse me.
So that would be our normal time if we
Or
make
excuse
11
me.
Eastern.
Excuse me. 8 to 9:15. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I think we should be able to make our normal time then.
Yeah. So we'll post either way. So until next time, everyone, have a happy Christmas.
Yes.
Good night.
And a happy Star Wars too.
Yes, go. Watch
God bless us, everyone.
watch your droids and Jedis.
Chewie, we're home.